So welcome everyone to the final Economic and Industry Development Committee for 2022. I can see that all councillors are in attendance and we have no apologies. Now I will let Councillor Kunzelman do the acknowledgement of country.
Thank you, Chair. Ipswich City Council and the members of this committee acknowledge the custodians of this land and pay respect to their practices and stewardship of this area. We acknowledge their leaders, past and present, and encourage emerging leaders.
Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. Now, I've got no declarations of interest on items. Does anyone need to declare anything today? No. Moving on to business outstanding, and item 1, we have the Ipswich 2032 Summit outcomes. So can I please ask Mr. Heenan to come up to the lectern, please?
Good morning, Dan Heenan, Coordinator Major Projects and Advocacy.
Thank you. Just in relation to the outcomes from the summit, can you summarise those for us, Mr. Heenan?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the summit was signalled the start of Council's legacy planning towards developing a roadmap, I guess, for the City of Ipswich. And so we had a really good cross-section from community leaders, from sporting clubs, government representatives, developers, businesses, all came together to have a really good, what I felt was a really good positive conversation about the opportunity. In terms of the outcomes, I guess we engaged, we felt that it was really important for us and the community to have some really clear takeaways from the day, so that we can then use that to really start to inform and shape how we move forward. So we engaged Ethos Urban to undertake a pre-summit survey, and that was sent out to all attendees, all those that were invited, sorry. And then they came in and ran a live session in the room after we'd heard from some of the key speakers to sort of make sure that we, I guess the responses given were, aligned with the potential opportunities and direction that were shared from those speakers in the room. Some of the key takeaways, I guess the key themes that probably emerged the strongest from that work was public and active transport connections, equity, participation and inclusion in sport, sustainability was a big focus. Enabling our local entrepreneurs to generate sort of new and innovative businesses, and then local tourism opportunities as well. So yeah, I felt it came together well, and from an officer's perspective, we've got a lot that we can work from.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Oh, Mr. Heenan, sorry. I feel that the pieces that come through from the poll really align with the direction that we are wanting as councillors as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it was very informative. Thank you. Was there any other questions? No. So I would move that with an amendment to the recommendation that we receive and note the contents of the 2032 Summit outcomes, and that that Council refer the oversight of the development of Olympic and Paralympic legacy roadmap for the city to the Advocacy Steering Committee, and C, that Council note the proposed legacy working group will be made up of local community leaders and experts to inform and shape the highest priority legacy opportunities, and propose this to be included for further discussion at the relevant Advocacy Steering Group meeting. I get a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Open for discussion. Mayor?
If I may, Chair. I was delighted with the final outcome of the Ipswich 2032 Legacy Summit. We had over 100 business and community leaders from across Ipswich participate. We had an incredible lineup of speakers on the panel who have been closely involved with the Brisbane 2032 Games. My intention in putting this idea forward as a mayoral minute was to ensure the community is at the forefront of our legacy planning, and I think the summit was a great first step in our journey. I do note that our state MPs, I think, were going to attend, but obviously with the passing of the Queen and changing of parliamentary dates, they were unable to attend on the day. However, I still think it's important that we do gauge their input to ensure we are working together to get the most out of the 2032 Games for the people of Ipswich. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who came along and shared their views at the summit, particularly the cracking panel and the highly engaged participants. I know that 2032 seems like a long way away, but when it comes to the legacy planning, it will be here before we know it. And we certainly saw from the group there the importance of public and active transport, as well as the grassroots sport participation and facilities that we need here. So very proud to see our council leading our city's approach in leveraging the social, cultural and economic benefits of the Games.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? No. Just wanting to note my amendment arises just from that next steps for consideration out of the report, so that we everyone's eager for us to step ahead and step out the roadmap. And so I think it's fitting that we just pop that in there so that we can get started as soon as practical. No other discussion. I'll move that to a motion. All those in favour? And it's unanimous. Thank you. So just moving on to the confirmation of minutes now from the committee from November. Can I get a mover for that one, please?
I'm happy to move, thanks.
Thank you. And seconded. Thank you, Mayor. Any discussion? No. All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimous and carried. And on to item 3 now, which is the quarterly event sponsorship and ticket allocation report. And this is for the event sponsorship for some major events. Anyone want to speak to the relevant council officer on these matters? No. I'll grab a mover for this one. Thank you, Mayor. Seconded. I'll second that. And open for discussion. No discussion, so I'll just move on to the vote now. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Item 4 on the agenda is the Galvanised Festival of Heritage post-event report. And does anyone want to speak to the relevant council officers on this one? I might just call up the council officer, please, just for a quick rundown. Thank you, Ms. Gregory.
Good morning, Carly Gregory, Manager of Marketing and Promotions.
Thank you. So just in relation to Galvanised and your professional opinion on how the event went and how it looks moving forward, are you overall content with the...
Yeah, I think as we would understand, the first Galvanised Festival was in 2021, and I believe we literally had announced the festival, went into a lockdown and came out, I think it was something like 6 days prior to the inaugural festival in 2021. So that was really challenging, but we gave it a great shot. Of course, we brought it back in 2022. By nature, Galvanised brings together non-council produced events. It's a collection of kind of niche, locally produced boutique experiences. These are things like cemetery tours and, small heritage family fun days and amazing experiences that really could do with marketing from council, bringing it together to leverage that as an actual festival. As we know, heritage is vitally important, and heritage is an incredible tourism pillar in our city. So that's where we're at with that. We absolutely know that there are some hero experiences like Great Houses of Ipswich and things that had planned to return in 2022, but again, due to the impact of the pandemic still, there was some wariness about that, is coming back in 2023. So I'm really happy with how it's developing. I'm really happy that we're, obviously incorporating the living heritage kind of content in the festival, and that was very, very well received. But these are small niche experiences that we're trying to elevate, and it really is a small investment on council's, behalf. So I think we invested around just over $50,000. It gets $15,000 in sponsorship. So I'm really happy for the impact it's having for the small investment that council puts into this. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I did note that it's really locally generated, like the
Yeah.
visitation, which stems to, I guess, the heritage side and people's living
That's
area
right.
yeah.
And you can absolutely imagine, as we start to, we obviously did Culture on Country for the first time as a council-produced event this year. We'll stretch that out at Hardings Paddock next year.
Yeah.
And if you brought back something like Great Houses of Ipswich, which is mainly bringing out of region back in, that would really help to anchor this festival.
Okay, great to know. Thank you. So I will ask for a mover. Thank you, Councillor Fechner. Seconded. Thank you, Mayor. Any discussion? Mayor?
I was going to say, it's lovely to see this festival. I know it's only the second time, but that we had more people, that it's growing. The opening ceremony with the Culture and Country was incredibly moving, very emotional. So it was really great to see, and I'll be strongly supporting it for future years as well.
Yeah, I agree. I had a number of friends and family that went to different events as part of the Galvanised Festival, and it was uniquely local. It's something we value our heritage, and it shows by the visitation locally. So, okay, so I'll move.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank the team for their hard work in putting this together. It's one small part of the Giant City Events plan that we roll out each year, and the Galvanised Festival is something that is close to both Councillor Doyle and my heart as heritage lovers who represent some of the oldest parts of our city. It is truly a wonderful celebration, but in supporting the local groups, I know that the attendances, particularly at the Cooniana Open Day, they saw significant increases in their numbers, and they're looking to grow next year. So every year, and Ms. Gregory could attest to this, you talk to some of those community groups who were part of the Galvanised Festival, who put on events already dreaming about how to make it bigger and better for next year. And I think we've seen that from year 1 to year 2 of delivering this. So year 3 will be super exciting. And if we can get Great Houses of Ipswich on board and back for the first time since COVID, that would be the icing on the cake for Galvanised 2023. So I know that there's lots of support to bring that back. And last time we had Great Houses open in Ipswich, we saw so much visitation from outside of the region as well. So yeah, it will help to mix it up a little bit to get the out-of-towners in. But just loving the ability for our community groups to use council and use the expertise within our city events team to float ideas with, to get our feedback. And I know that's an important part of the work that's probably not captured in this report, but having someone on the other end of the phone to say, here's an idea that I've got, I want to participate in Galvanised Festival, and having our city events team actually help community groups go on that journey, help them plan, remind them of things that they need to undertake before they can actually roll out their program. I think it's really important and an amazing service that we run. So thanks to the team for helping build the capacity of our community groups in that sector. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Fechner. No further discussion? Move that matter to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Is it unanimous and carried? And moving on to another great festival, so Spark Ipswich Festival 2022's post-event report. Did anyone want to speak to the relevant council officer on this one? No.
Actually, yeah, I would like to speak to Ms. Gregory about this.
Carly Gregory, Manager of Marketing and Promotions.
It would be remiss of me as the Chair of Community, Culture, Arts and Sports not to invite you up here to not just talk about the event impact assessment that was done. You know, it's amazing. We've seen the numbers. People love Spark. Ipswich loves Spark Festival. We have had this conversation, and for the benefit of the committee, Ms. Gregory and I were thinking about having two separate reports, one that comes here talking about the economic benefits, but one talking about the cultural and arts benefits as well. So do you want to kind of step outside the remit of this and let's talk all things culture and development of artists during Spark?
I think this is called hijacking a committee. I think I can do a job of covering both because we're in economic development. I think it's really important to note we can see the economic benefit. I think it's important to note the IER reports really judge their economic development in this example from paid ticketed events or paid and ticketed events. So there is a little bit of a gap for us in IER that we've been working with ready for 2023. IER have actually employed Ipswich locals to their company, which is great. So we now have people on the ground in Ipswich who can work at our festivals to deliver the economic benefit. That means doing surveys on the ground at the non-ticketed events. So for something like the World Music event, WOMI at Springfield Central, you know, which had 30,000 hit that centre on one day, you're not getting the full story of those people from necessarily outside the region and locals. So there is a bit of a gap in that, I should say. But really, I think the thing for me is that we really need to recognise that arts and culture is an industry and it does provide direct economic growth and job opportunities, you know, through consumer purchasing of tickets and shows and things like that, and the tourism. And so for us, when we set up these festivals, we're very mindful of that industry and probably the lack of opportunities sometimes that there are, especially in our city, for those industries. So we've designed it specifically to craft those opportunities for artists and art workers to develop their practice and their business skills, because some of our most successful artists aren't really sort of operating in our market. Which is great, they're successful operating internationally or nationally around the country. So we're trying to, I suppose, fill that pipeline and find mentors for those people. So in Spark, that looked like partnering up with a projection artist, with all those 10 local artists for Delight to see their works on a very large scale. That means they can bring interstate agents, you know, who stand in Aspire and can see those works on a large scale. And, you know, for that, it drives commissions, it drives other commercial opportunities. So for someone like Jacob Sara, there's an absolute story about, you know, how being in the Ipswich Art Awards and being part of Delight absolutely brought him commercial opportunities. For us, it's about running PD during Spark, bringing, you know, regional managers and agents and Q Music executives or people that own record labels to speak to our local performers and then go and see them at night and make those connections, because a lot of people are musicians but they don't have any network in the industry, nor do they really know how to network even locally. So all those kind of opportunities are developing, I suppose, you know, not just work by engaging these artists and paying them a performance fee, but creating that, you know, mentoring for them so they understand how to access the industry. I think it's important to note in Spark that we engaged just over 240 artists or art workers, which is phenomenal in an 11-day period.
A lot of that can't be captured on one of these advance reports, can it? So, yeah, no, well done. Thank you. So I will move, and can I get a seconder, please? Thank you, Mayor. And open that one up for discussion. Thank you, Mayor.
If I may, Chair, I'd look at page, I think, 68, looking at the community pride here, and in particular 46% of respondents said, my visit to this event has enhanced my image of Ipswich as a destination. That's a pretty powerful figure. And leveraging off what Ms Gregory was saying, when speaking with local artists who are here, performing or working at Spark, it's really important for them to get to know other locals, but also they want to make sure that we do have non-local artists there as well to expand their network, so they get to know others, and that's how they network and find out other opportunities outside of Ipswich as well. So it's important for us to have that healthy mix as well.
Yeah, definitely. When I was on the ground for WOMI at Springfield Central, and the Orion Shopping Centre closed that main street down and rolled out the fake grass and put the lounge chairs, and the amount of our out-of-town visitation there, and it was just coming through from the artists' friends and families alone as well, coming to see them perform, and then seeing our city being promoted. Yeah, it was wonderful.
And the Spark After Dark, when we had the launch of that, to have Indigenous artists working, and performing with St Mary's Church, that was a very moving.
A lot of people talk about that.
It was better than the 2000 Olympics, Chair. It was better than the opening ceremony. It was better than having Nikki Webster fly through a stadium in Sydney. It was amazing. And I just want to touch on those meaningful connections that artists make during the Spark Festival, and the opportunities that Miss Gregory mentioned for local artists to be paid for their work, to network, to think about a genuine career in the performing arts. It's not often, or we don't have that many opportunities in Ipswich for thinking more broadly about those things. We probably haven't thought of arts and culture as an economic pillar enough. We probably haven't emphasised that enough, but I think that the tides are shifting, and this is just one small way council can offer, because it's not the silver bullet. I mean, it's not offering everyone who wants an opportunity in arts and culture to have the ability to do that, but it's starting those conversations, and it's leading by example. So it's another example, similarly to the Heritage Festival galvanised. Spark is building the capacity of artists rather than the community groups. So the more we do that, the more we invest in our people, the more we have these conversations, the more we take that seriously, I think that we're going to see an influx of the next generation of performers and of artists who are actually able to make money from their art for the first time, showing them that there are opportunities and that it is possible, but also connecting them with people who are within the industry is so important. So I back Spark in every year. It got bigger last year. It's going to be bigger, and it might look different next year, but Spark as a calendar event in the local Ipswich area is something that people are already talking about for next year. It is so well loved. It's the brand recognition that it's created for itself in 2 years is very, very, very impressive. So again, another really, really important part of the City Events program that I fully support. I mean, it brings so much joy to our city, in the middle of the year. And in terms of calendar engineering, it's by no mistake that it is where it is. Yes, it's a cold part of the year, but it takes advantage of being kind of a standalone one to drive that traffic from out of town. I was down at Timothy Maloney Oval almost every single night. A couple of the nights were a bit cold, so I didn't get out of the car, but I did look at the projections on St Mary's Church. So many people travelling from all over to come and see that art, to participate in Spark Festival. So what it's doing to drive, out-of-towners into the region to build confidence in our very own festival is extremely impressive. I mean, tens of thousands of people attended Spark, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yes, I agree. I have a lingering question of where is Nikki Webster now, though? It's in my mind playing over and over again. On that note, I will move that one to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. And it's unanimous and carried. Moving on to item 6, which is the Economic Development Strategy 2018-2020. and 23 to 27. And I will ask Mr. Heenan up to the lectern, please.
Dan Heenan, Coordinator Major Projects and Advocacy.
Thank you, Mr. Heenan. So I know that you are very happy for this to come to council today because you've been slaving away in the background, and I'm so pleased that of all your hard work. So thank you very much. Out of the outcomes that we've got in front of us today, what do you think is the most important that we've been able to reflect in this strategy?
Lots of opportunities, I think. In terms of highlighting some, what I will share is the stakeholder engagement that was undertaken to support the development of the strategy was really interesting. You know, what I learned from that. So we reached out and met with representatives from the property sector, the education sector, community groups, and the business sector as well, property developers. And they all, you know, with great enthusiasm, shared support for the development of a strategy, and all noted with great enthusiasm that the time is right. And so I think that's a really important point. So for us, I think the time is right for council and the region to take a step forward in terms of how we define and position ourselves within South East Queensland to differentiate Ipswich so that we can seek to harness those great job opportunities and attract investment to the region. And I guess as an extension of that, city promotion, I think, is going to be a real foundation piece for how we move forward, how we promote the region. So those two things probably go in hand for me as being elevated as being the highest priorities for the program going forward. Would you like me to keep talking about a few others?
No,
or?
I could talk about it too. So was there any other questions from the committee to Mr. Heenan? No. Anything else you want to add or happy?
No, I think for me, as I said, the stakeholder engagement piece was the most critical.
Yeah.
And hearing from those, I think I was saying this to Councillor Fechner, but having the stakeholders be unanimous in elevating the things that we've elevated now in this strategy made the job actually really easy. And it was actually then also supported by the evidence base. So I think what has been pulled together is something that captures, I think, the things that are most important for the city, in our view, but also those that are the most important for our stakeholders, hopefully.
Thank you. Okay. So I will move that we endorse the ECDEV strategy. And that council note the subject to recommendation A being endorsed, a detailed implementation plan will be developed in consultation with the chair of ECDEV. Can I get a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Fechner. And open that one up for discussion. Mayor?
If I may, Chair, I just want to thank you for, I guess, bouncing this back out and leading those workshops that we've had with councillors. I think we have a great result here, so I want to thank you for your leadership in that.
Thank you.
Chair. I've probably got two things I'd like to I've got here page 87.
Yep.
There's a sentence here that I think is not quite correct. It talks about Greater Springfield has been Australia's first master plan greenfield development since Canberra. A simple Google search shows that there have been tons of master plan greenfield developments since in the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. But I think maybe, again, I'm just Google search, I'll probably have to check with our planners. I think it may be the largest master plan greenfield development since Canberra, so I'd be very keen to get a correction on that. Yep. And it talks about a population of over 40,000 residents, a draw card for around 50,000. I think our population projections that it'll probably go about 120,000 residents, so I wasn't sure whether that should increase to 80,000, but I guess I'll ask your the organisation maybe to get back to us to let us know.
Yeah.
Is that open to suggestions?
So just to you, CEO, if we could just maybe investigate some of those points and perhaps track any changes if necessary before the ordinary council.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. So it's my turn to talk about the ECDEV strategy now, and I don't know where to start and stop, so pull me up when time. I think that the stakeholder engagement process fundamentally sifted out some real essential non-negotiables that we as council had perhaps sight of, but oversight of, I guess, and that being obviously that we have a lot of identities as Ipswich, but trying to gauge exactly what our identity is to then leverage upon and get stakeholders engaged in that process as well is fundamental. Our organisational focus when it comes to being collaborative and partnering with investors as opposed to just being on the sidelines and just being regulators. I think that's a big project in itself, and from where council has come from to where we are now, like I understand that it's the perfect time for that to be on the agenda and to tease out exactly where we can be partners in projects and not just kind of stipulate the policies and the legalities around certain things. So I don't think we should be as scared as what we have been. Like, there's a lot of opportunities that we can work with investors and promoters to help achieve their outcomes, and it's going to be best overall. And then the city promotion piece, obviously, I think that just speaks to itself. We've got so much happening here already. Without this ECDEV plan, we've got so many investors coming through and making Ipswich their home and giving them a voice to promote our city. I think, that's what investors want to see. They want to see other investors' confidence. And that is a massive achievement to the ECDEV crew for teasing that out through this process. So thank you so much. And I know that everyone's worked tirelessly on it. So the last note that I wanted to mention was the collaboration of the entire region within this ECDEV strategy and then how we've all come together. And that's what we need to do in the future. And this is the strategy itself is an example of that. 2023, baby. Can't wait. Watch this space. Sorry, I'm getting excited now. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to comment on the revised economic development strategy that's here in front of us and the listening that has happened between then and now, and the polished product that we see in front of us. So much work has gone into this, particularly Dan Heenan, who should be thanked for taking the time to meet with stakeholders, including ourselves, one-on-one at times, trying to really extract and synthesize the information that he was hearing from all of us into a succinct document. And what we see in front of us is something that feels very tangible. It feels like, yes, there is an implementation plan to be completed and something that needs to be worked on, but looking at it, you can feel really inspired and that there is a clear direction. It's a really good example of council being able to state its strategic intent and signal to the community what we're trying to achieve in this. And all of the stakeholder feedback, which was the most important thing because it validated what we were saying the whole time, really helps us, stand by this and think really positively about our future. So I look forward to the work that, Chair, you will inevitably be doing over the next 12 months. It's going to be busy. There's going to be some resourcing implications. I can feel it coming already, and that's going to be discussions that we'll have to have, you know, when we're considering our budget. But this really is kind of over to you now. You drive this. You help us put that implementation plan together. I mean, there's a sense of, you know, responsibility that you've had the whole time through the development of this. So, you know, I believe that you'll be able to take this to the next level and take us all on that journey as well. So I look forward to seeing that work come out. I look forward to having those difficult conversations about budget and resourcing, but most importantly, I look forward to promoting our city for the wonderful place that it is.
Every dollar to promotion is $30 back, is that right? There's some global ratio going on, I think, Mr. Poll. A big thank you to Dan Heenan. So you are the living and breathing person behind this strategy. You are the strategy in man form. You go out, you've been out and you've talked to our stakeholders, you've listened to them, you've changed your approach based on, you know, what feedback you've got back, and you've been flexible, and you've helped me, you've guided me in different discussions that I've had to have with different committee members to get the best out of everything. And so, yeah, I can't thank you enough, honestly, for what we've got today. And it's not just me, but thank you. But it's the whole team, and it's just being collaborative, and there's going to be shifts in culture slowly, hopefully within that kind of regulator space to fostering more partnerships when it, you know, events and things like that, promoters. Sonia's stressing a little bit, but yeah, I'm very excited. So that being said, yep.
Sorry, Chair, I'll try to keep it brief so that we can get on with it. But one thing that I just wanted to highlight was the element of people in this strategy. Something that I found looking at other economic development strategies around the world that just read like a real estate investment prospectus, I found that quite troubling. And I'm really happy that the way things are moving, and I think what we've seen during COVID, where people have struggled to fill staff vacancies due to migration impacts and other things, and now we've got a lot of people looking at skilled labour shortages. It's as clear now as what it has always been. Skilled labour is the most valuable commodity. If you haven't got people who can do things well and do things the way you need them to do in a business function, you can't do your business. And it's a return back to some social movements of the late 19th century, where it was acutely recognised at the time that workers create value. They create value for anyone. If you haven't got the person doing the thing, you're not doing it, and there's no output. And I'm very happy to see how we've positioned that, firstly, with our young people, because all of the young people living in Ipswich, we want them to have rewarding careers. And the way to have a rewarding career is to have the opportunity to specialise and train and transition to a better income bracket that will offer better security for their lives. And the benefits that flow through from that are just tremendous and cannot be understated. So I'm really happy to see that, and I think it aligns in nicely with our new federal government that has a much better focus on skills and training. And I think Australia is really at a point in time where I think we've figured out that we can't just rely on the rest of the world to train people. We've got to start doing it again ourselves. And I think that's going to open up a lot of tremendous opportunities for our young people. And I want us to be there saying, you know, let's do it in Ipswich, because we got all these wonderful little people that are keen to find what they're good at and be supported through that so that they can have a rewarding career and fulfilling work. Which should be our objective as a level of government, not just for people to have work, but fulfilling work. That's a huge push in our modern world. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Madsen. Any further discussion? No, I'll take that to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, carried. Thank you. And just moving on to item 7 from matters arising. Sorry, there was no notices of motion on the agenda. So the matters arising, change in committee membership. So I'd just like to move that Councillor Marnie Doyle be appointed as a member of the Economic and Industry Development Committee going forward. Thank you, Councillor Fechner. Any discussion in relation to this one, Mayor?
Just strongly support that, thank you.
Yep. So agree. I can't wait for you to come and join the team. Not that I don't discuss everything with you anyway. We kind of align in our views and, looking forward to next year. So take that to the vote. All those in favour? Wonderful, unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Probably the longest ECDEV meeting ever for me. Closing the meeting now at 12:21. Did we have to come back for lunch? Do we move? Okay, cool. Back at 12:31. Thank you so much.